everybody, my name's Lucy. I'm an animal science major.
I'm Carter. I'm a microbiology major.
And today I'm going to be teaching Carter how to groom a horse. So I'm going to give you guys a little overview of the tools that we're going to use today. First, we're going to use a curry comb or a curry mitt. We're going to use this in circles, and it's going to get the dirt up out of his hair from his skin, and so we can brush it out. Next, we're going to use this stiff brush. This is going to be able to flick the dust and dirt off of his coat. And this is a soft brush, and this is going to get the final sort of shine on him. To clean his feet, we're going to use this. It's called a hoof pick. So we're going to pick his foot up and then scrape out what's called the frog, which is a V shape in the middle of his foot, and get all the rocks and dirt and whatever's in there out of there. Another one of the steps we're going to do is brush his mane and tail. Maddie has braids in his mane, so we're not going to be brushing those out just to, not ruin them, but his tail we can brush through and make sure it's all knot free. All right, so the first step is going to be the curry comb. So you're going to do big circles, gently pushing into him, and that's going to help lift the dirt and mud off of his coat. And this is going to go from his neck all through his shoulder and his barrel over his butt. But we're going to avoid the legs because the skin is too sensitive there for the hard brush. One of the most important things to do while you're grooming is to always check how Maddie's feeling about it. So yeah, when you're grooming down his barrel, always make sure you're checking his ears, checking his facial expression, and you can see his ears are, turning back a little bit here, so he might be saying, I don't want you to groom under my barrel. So it's always good to keep an eye out for how he feels about what you're doing. All right, so the next step is going to be using the curry mitt instead of the curry comb. And this we're going to use on his legs and his face, which are his more sensitive parts. And this is because the nubs are a lot softer. So on the more sensitive skin that's closer to the bone on his legs and face, it's not going to be as irritating as the hard bristles would be. All right, the next one we're going to use is the stiff brush. So the whole point of the stiff brush is to flick the dirt off because the bristles are very, stiff. That's the name, stiff brush. So what you're going to do when you're brushing him with this is you're going to make long sweeping sort of flicking motions. So you're going to go flicking because you want to get the dirt and the dust off, just like this. So one important thing to know when you're doing the stiff brush is that right here where the hair changes direction is the most sensitive part of the horse. So when you're brushing here, instead of brushing straight across, you want to follow the direction of the hair. That's perfect. So to pick up a horse's foot and clean it, what you're going to do first is face backwards. You're not going to face towards their head. You're going to use the arm that's closest to their leg, run it down the back of their leg and ask them to pick it up, which he needs to do. Hold it with your outside hand and use your hoof pick to pick in a V shape and get all the mud and all the dirt and everything out. He was out in the field, so he's going to have a lot of dirt and you want to make sure you get all of it out. So you want to run around the horseshoe and run in a V in the middle, but you don't want to pick the middle of the V. And that's because this is called the frog, and this is the most sensitive part of the foot, and so you can potentially hurt him if you pick it with the sharp hoof pick. So the last thing we're going to do for Maddie here is brush out his tail. The most important thing to remember when brushing out a horse's tail is to never stand directly behind them, and that's because they have a blind spot there. So you always want to be standing on one side of him so he can see what you're doing. And what you're going to do is grab the tail from just about the bottom of the tailbone, which you can feel inside of his tail. And then you're going to take this, hold on to it so you don't pull out the tail hairs. And you're just going to brush it out like you're brushing out anyone else's hair. An extra thing you can do, especially during the spring and summer months when it's fly season and there's a lot of insects, is put something called fly spray on them. Now we're not going to do that because he doesn't need it, but it's very much like bug spray for horses. So you just spray it all over them. And there's a similar product that is called Shoshin that you spray on them to make them nice and shiny and soft. So those are just some extra things you can do when grooming a horse. So the last thing we're going to do for Maddie is give him some treats because he was such a good boy for us today. So here you go, Carter. Do you know how to feed a horse?
Yes.
And left. Excellent.
Nom, nom,
And give him
nom.
some good pats.
There you go.
What a good
There you
boy.
go.
So that was us learning how to groom a horse. How do you feel after learning?
Feeling pretty good.
Feeling good?
Yeah, pretty much professional.
All right, thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.
It's important to groom your horse daily to make sure he is clean, happy, and healthy. Proper grooming techniques are essential for maintaining cleanliness and reducing discomfort in your horse. Grooming allows you to check for any signs of injury or illness, and it also allows you to strengthen the bond between yourself and your horse. We hope you enjoyed the video.